So admittedly, news for some platform holders hasn't been great over the last few weeks, but hopefully in this video we can change that, because reports that Sony Corporation are going all out and prioritizing funding for the PlayStation division in order to boost market share and game content creation. We'll get into all that in a jiffy. And a relatively known writer slash journalist at InsideGaming.com has 100%, yes, 100% committed to PS5 Pro coming out in 2024, as well as other juicy new PlayStation hardware details. All that and more after this. Welcome back to another Foxy Games UK news video. If you're new around here and like what I do, go ahead, like, subscribe, hit notification, follow Foxy Games UK via Twitter at FoxyGames_UK for more informative gaming news, opinion and gameplay. Okay, so let's get into our very first news story. Sony has reduced investment budget in this overall corporation to allocate more cash for PlayStation gaming division. This story courtesy of tweaktown.com. So this is an interesting one, isn't it? Link in the description. So Sony has revised its capital allocation plan for strategic investments, increasing available funds to help grow divisions like PlayStation gaming. So Sony has revised the capital allocation and PlayStation game divisions and other segments and share buybacks to free up more cash to obviously inject into its PlayStation business. That's how much it is confident in its own brand. Sony just reported its best ever year for PlayStation, with the game division generating a record-breaking $27 billion in financial year 22. This landmark success was driven by stellar PS5 console sales and obviously strong growth in its PC-driven gaming segment. Now, in a bid to keep this momentum going, Sony has decided to increase its capital expenditure, in part for PlayStation gaming, as it gears up for a record 25 million PS5 console production and shipment cycle. I kid you not. Sony are going to produce 25 million PS5s in 2023. That's going to be absolutely crazy. So, as well as major new first-party games across live services and dedicated console gaming, in its recent financial year 22 earnings report, Sony confirmed that it had reduced its capital allocation for strategic investments from 2 trillion yen, which is about 14.6 billion US dollars, to a total of 1.8 trillion yen, approximately 13.04 billion US dollars. Thanks to previous comments from Sony Corp President Hiroki Totoki, we can calculate how much of this budget that Sony has left to spend on new company acquisitions, strategic investments and share buybacks. So in terms of what had previously been reported, that Sony had about 5.1 billion US dollars left to spend on things like buyouts such as Bungie and recent Firewalk Studio acquisitions, investments such as those Sony made in Epic Games and From Software, and share buybacks that Sony routinely enacts to help boost company stock value. Now, this new plan indicates that Sony's overall remaining budget is now around 3.64 billion. Sony has increased its capital expenditure, or the total budget that the company has available to spend on its products and content across all of its segments for the period, in part to help finance a significant increase in spending on its PlayStation brand. In fact, PlayStation's operating income in financial year 22 was significantly affected by this spending, with total operating income sliding by over 1.2 billion US dollars, or 40% year over year, due to increase in spending in first-party games, as well as hundreds of millions of dollars of expenses recognized for the acquisition of Bungie. So this spending spree, is set to continue through financial year 23, as Sony expects to generate similar PlayStation operating profit for the next year as well. This reflects continued spending Sony's multi-platform game strategy, including live services, mobile games, and more PS5 games, as well as those VR2 titles. Now, there will be continued payments for the Bungie acquisition and recognition of Sony's recent purchase of Firewalk Studios. The spending also takes into account the enormous cost of producing and shipping 25 million PlayStation 5 consoles by March 2024, which is when financial year 23 ends. Interesting. So Sony are totally galvanized by the recent upsurge in sales of its PS5, considering the struggle it had producing these units during the dreaded chip shortage. And money's hard to come by as well. The economy's not doing great on a global level. Yet Sony has the confidence to produce and ship 25 million PS5 console users. That would take them to more than 50 million PS5 units sold by the end of this year. Sound off in the comments. The full article is available, link in the description if you wish to peruse that in your own time. But moving on to InsiderGaming.com. Our good friend Tom Henderson, who's been quite active actually in disclosing a lot of stuff. PlayStation 5's hardware timeline leading up to holiday 2024, I kid you not. So Sony has been testing, prototyping, and releasing many different new pieces of hardware for the PS5 as of late. Now, in this console generation, we've already seen the subtle variations of the PlayStation 5 to reduce its weight and obviously cost-effective cutting measures, and also the DualSense Edge. Now, the PlayStation VR2 has been off to a slow start, admittedly, but it's a new medium, a growing medium, and it only launched in February. There's a long way to go, but it doesn't seem like Sony is slowing down anytime soon with a further six new pieces of hardware in various stages of development. Now you got to understand this is R&D. So out of those 6, maybe 2 may materialize, 3, maybe all, who knows. So we've got Project Leonardo as the first piece of hardware. Project Leonardo is the only announced piece of hardware on the list. First announced in January of this year, Leonardo is a highly customizable accessibility controller that will allow players with disabilities to play more easily, which can never be a bad thing. Sony says that the controllers have been developed with key contributions from accessibility experts, community members, and game developers. The controller includes a robust kit of swappable components, including a variety of analog stick caps and buttons in different shapes and sizes. This is expected to release at the end of this year. Then there's a new PlayStation 5 console. Now, if you've been following Inside Gaming regularly, then you probably already heard about the PlayStation 5 with the detachable disc drive that should release later this year. Perhaps it will be revealed during the summer, perhaps in Sony's rumored May showcase, who knows, although reports have dubbed the new PlayStation 5 as PlayStation 5 Slim. Insider Gaming understands that the console will almost be identical to the PlayStation 5 but feature a detachable disc drive incompatible with the older models. In fact, it's understood that the new PlayStation 5 will completely phase out the old design within a year. Although not confirmed by sources, we would hope to see the console revealed at the next PlayStation showcase, as I just said. But as you'll see with other hardware in the list, it's possible that the console could be revealed with some other hardware at a later date. Expected release date is September 2023. Moving on to new audio hardware. At Insider Gaming, they exclusively reported in February, Sony is currently working on 2 new wireless audio devices for the PlayStation 5. Project Nomad, which are wireless earbuds, and Project Voyager, a wireless headset, are expected to release by the end of financial year 23, which could lead us up to March 2024, but exact release dates and prices are unclear. Then there's Q-Lite, the handheld accessory. Sony is reportedly working on a new handheld device, but don't get too excited. It's not Vita 2. This is more cloud-based, allowing the handheld to feature adaptive streaming up to 1080p, 60 FPS. Play your PS5 games on the go, remotely in another room, whatever. Not interested. Thank you very much. PlayStation 5 Pro, the big one. It's been a hot topic of discussion, but yes, Insider Gaming has previously revealed that Sony does have a PlayStation 5 Pro in development. As reported in March on the site, it was dismissed as being inaccurate by many when it was first reported, and although the PlayStation 5 Pro could be cancelled at any given time, Insider Gaming can report with 100% degree of certainty that the PlayStation 5 Pro is currently in development. So it's in development, but it could be cancelled at any time. While we cannot report on any more specifics at this time, we understand that the first dev kit prototypes will be going to first-party developers within the next couple of months. Yes, that's soon, with third-party developers receiving them by the end of the year. So yeah, PS5 Pro. Mentioned again. I don't know what to think of this. Honestly, from what I've been hearing, it's not happening, but then this guy is 100% sure it's happening. You know, none of my contacts have told me this. This is the general whisper among the internet, ethernet if you like. Few people believe there's going to be a PS5 Pro. Few people in the know. But I'm not saying Tom Henderson's completely wrong. Perhaps there will be. But he does kind of cover himself saying, oh, even though it could be cancelled, it's in development. That's saying, well, if it doesn't materialize, some sort of get out of the jail free card, really, isn't it? Now, that's not to say it's not happening. Hey, let it happen. I don't care if a PS5 Pro comes out. I probably won't buy it because it will probably be only to boost ray tracing functionality. I mean, they don't need to make the SSD any faster. Certainly don't need much more RAM. They certainly don't need, to speed up the CPU. If they did, it would kind of segment the market from the original vanilla model. So I'm assuming that any boost to hardware power is going to be primarily for ray tracing functionality. So in that case, yeah, you want more tracing, 60 FPS, hopefully, have at it. But I don't really care about ray tracing that much in this generation to go out and buy a third PlayStation 5. I already own two, quite satisfied. So yeah, I hope Tom Henderson's right. I really do, because it's not nice when you say things that don't happen, which is why I've never really gone on record and said, this may not happen, but it's in development. I won't do that. It's either in development and happening or it's not. If it doesn't materialize, that's out of his control. If something gets cancelled, it's not worth it, whatever. Out of his control, like it would be out of anybody's. But I'd be more confident in what Tom Henderson says. If he, you can't say 100% are certain that it's in development, then turn around and say, but it may be cancelled. I don't know. So, to continue with it, whilst we cannot report on any more specifics at this time, we understand that the first dev kit prototypes will be going to first-party developers. That's what he says, and third parties will get it much later. The expected release date is Q4 2024 tentative. So that's holiday 2024 for a PS5 Pro. How much will it cost? Well, if the vanilla model's around $500 now, in a year that should reduce by $50, $60. Maybe it's going to be $550, $599, who knows? But what say you? Sound off in the comments, because that brings us to the end of another video. Let's continue the discussion cautiously in the comments. And like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment regularly on videos, and you can help Foxy Games UK reach more gamers, so feel free to share the video. You may also wish to consider supporting Foxy Games via Patreon, because, well, we're like family now. Link in the description, but that concludes our time together today. Until next time, play games, not corporations.